Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Especially so many of us have braved this rather cold evening to come out. It's not very pleasant, but some housekeeping before we begin. We're not expecting a fire alarm to sound this evening. If it does, please leave the building through the fire exits, one just over there, and meet outside at the fire assembly point. Officers, as Borough Council officers, will direct us to the fire assembly point if necessary. You can see all councillors will tend to use tablet or laptop devices because our agendas are only issued to us electronically these days. So if you see us using these things, it's because that's where our agenda is. We're always welcome to people to speak at the meeting. Although it is a formal meeting of Eastleigh Borough Council, it is not, in that sense, a public meeting. Members of the public that have registered to speak will be invited to speak and will be given 3 minutes to speak. When the light is amber, I have 30 seconds left. Sorry. At the beginning, just to make it clear, that as if you're speaking to an agenda item, that if you're speaking at the beginning, as I know there are some people who wish to speak, you have 5 minutes. But again, right. People wanting to speak on the agenda are able to do so, but only before the debate starts. Once the debate has started, it is not possible to invite or receive comments from the floor. We want to be as inclusive as possible, but will not tolerate any disruptions to our meeting. Should there be any disruption, we do have the power under the Council's constitution to remove people from the meeting or continue in private, neither of which we would take lightly or wish to do. Councillors are reminded that to take part in this meeting, you must have an open mind, so that you can take all the relevant considerations presented at the meeting into account before making your decision. By attending today, you have decided that you will listen to all points of view expressed by the speakers, public, and are able to participate and cannot be seen to have predetermined your decision or application. This meeting will be recorded and will be uploaded to the Council's website. If any members of the public prefer not to be recorded, then do please contact a member of the staff. If you're planning on filming or recording the meeting, then do please let us know so that we can ensure that you're not filming members of the public that do not wish to be filmed. The Chair reserves the right to ask any filming considered intrusive to be stopped. More information about this is available on the Council's website. Come now to the agenda, and first thing would be apologies, but as we're all here, there obviously aren't any from members. And then we come to public participation. All right. I have a list here somewhere of people who've given their names wanting to speak, and the first one is Karen Keats. Would you like to go to the microphone there and or pull it a bit closer? Get a bit closer to it. If you could tell us your address, just the road you live in, so that we know what you're talking about.
Well, I live in 24 Cllr Drive, and I'm here to speak about a week ago Thursday, I can't even remember the date now, when we had all the flood, all the rain and all the flooding, and that started. It's very difficult to explain. It rained so hard that I was watching my garden and Anne's garden and my neighbour's garden just filling up and filling up. And it just went on, and at 6 o'clock I looked, and it was just coming all over my patio, my garden, up to the sills. And at 6:30, I'm a widow like Anne and my other neighbour, and I went out there. I got my Wellingtons on. I went out there. I don't know why, because I thought I could do something, but I knew that I couldn't. And I was just wandering about, and I was just so frightened, and I was in tears. And I got hold of my daughter, and she said, "Mum, get indoors, because I have sciatica, Raynaud's." She said, "If you fall over, you won't get up." And by then, there was that water. She was, she sent my son-in-law down. I phoned Anne, and she got somebody, but we knew there was nothing we could do. And it was just rushing. It was all coming down. I have spoken to David, and he does know more. He's taken photos. I had a new fence 3 weeks ago put along, runs along between the footpath there, and where it all came down, we later found out, it all came down through their fence, broke their fence, came through, bowed my fences, and came through all into our. It was just. Can you remind me of anything else, Anne? Because I'm not very good at this.
I think the water was about 5 or 6 inches.
Oh, it was, yes, 6 inches, and in your garden, it.
Yes, the person I asked to come and see what could be done the next day, I wasn't expecting him to do anything that night, but he put a mark on my raised bed and said, "If the water comes up to there, you might think about moving out tonight, because if it does come up to there, it will come in through your patio doors, and it would be better if you weren't here." And basically, really, I know there's nothing we can do. We were told that we were going to have sandbags, but nothing has materialised.
Sandbags, I don't think would have even helped them, would they?
What bags did I say? Sandbags.
Sandbags.
Anyway, we haven't received anything. I'd like to know what the council is aiming to do for people that have been affected by this at this time, and what they're going to do in the future to safeguard us of any of the banks breaking down and the same thing happening again, but even worse.
David does know what goes on along that, because there's these, what are they? The streams? Culverts that go through. And also that we've had along there, we've had the manhole cover that was coming up, and we had toilet paper and sewage coming out. On the Sunday morning, I got hold of the Environmental Agency, and they did get the water board out on the Sunday afternoon, and they did take, samples apparently. They were very prompt. I rang in the morning, and they were there 2:30 in the afternoon, and then it was. And my garden lays below Anne's. And I have a step up into her garden, a small step, and the water was coming so fast through mine, it went up and over that step and was then rushing straight through Anne's garden. All 3 of our gardens were just absolutely underwater. It was really quite frightening when you're on your own. But I can't remember everything. I don't know whether David can say anything.
With your permission? Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What would happen there is it became evident that the Southern Waters sewer was completely full of stormwater as well. And so much so it was supercharged and lifting the lid in the path. The water going through the garden was going through to such a rate that it was effectively flowing uphill as it went past the houses. It was certainly on the brink of going into the air bricks, and in one property we believe it has gone through the air bricks into underneath their floor. As you know, I've asked for our next working group if we could reach out and get the Environment Agency to come along, because we did all the work with getting them to inspect the culverts, and I'm sure that was an expensive and time-consuming job, but I think the comments we made at that time are now more obvious, that these storms will come along. We had a record level of the Monks Brook down at Hursley Road, and I really think that we now need to put some surge protection in for Chandler's Ford, so that the water falling in Ampfield and Farley Mount doesn't come racing down through Chandler's Ford. We need to hold it on the floodplains for a little bit longer, and perhaps the Environment Agency will come up with some plans that will assist us with that. The one place we don't want flood water is in people's houses. Mrs. Keats was clearly completely vulnerable, and had the water penetrated their houses, to get out of their houses would have necessitated paddling ankle deep in water, and I'm not sure where they would have gone. Everywhere from them is uphill. Their neighbours wouldn't have been ready to receive people in at that hour of the morning. I actually went along the footpath and saw the rain, and it was a torrent coming underneath the neighbour's fence, across the footpath, straight through the new fence. And of course it picked up debris as it went, and that debris is now jammed in the base of the fence, causing this lovely brand new fence, which was straight, to be extremely distorted and damaged by the debris. Okay, that's storm damage, and that's one of those things, but we've got a community down here. I think we probably need to do some support by bringing in the Environment Agency to get them to do what they do best, which is protect these people from being flooded. Thank you.
Thank you. It must have been, I can understand it must have been very distressing. Christmas 22, I had raw sewage running down my drive. It was not a pleasant experience. I didn't want to get in my car because I would have had to step in to get to the car. It was not pleasant. So I do understand the problem. It's
Totally frightening.
Yeah.
When I see that we've got rainfalls past, I know it's stupid, but Saturday, Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, I'm already panicking. I know it probably won't happen, but it's just, you know, it's something that's got to be done.
You're on your own. You're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you feel.
And Anne and my other neighbour, he lost electricity. It got into his electrics. And he's an 80-year-old man he's not well, and he lost it when it got into his electrics, and he lost his electricity because he phoned me.
Yeah, the worrying thing there is he actually went outside in the floodwater
Yeah,
to try and sort out the electricity,
he did. Yeah,
but it went straight through his air bricks. He's got floorboards, and that's how it somehow got to the electrics, which goodness knows how. I was there when Southern Water turned up on Sunday, and what we worked out between the two of us is there's so many variations in the way that the properties have been built. Some have got solid floors, some have got wooden floors. But yeah, you spent the whole night up, didn't you? Because you
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
That night, after I came in, I just was by my patio door, literally all night, and wandering about, because I was just so frightened that there was going to be more rain and it would come up. Yeah, thank you. That was one thing I did. Yeah. So it was not good.
Those manhole covers as well, I was told by the person from Southern Water that they're 6 feet deep, so that gives you some idea. Also, the interesting thing was he was the person that came out several years ago, about 2008, the same person that came out. He thinks he was purposely sent out because he knew the area well, so he knew what he was looking for. But he did pick up a lot of the rubbish, and he did pick up, you did check all the manhole covers along with.
Thank you anyway. Thank you.
Right. Stuart, have you got anything else you wish to say?
Well, David, you only just found out about this because I think Karen's just told you that the notices have gone up for them coming out to do some work.
To remove the trees.
To remove the tree.
Yeah.
I took the picture, didn't really look at it, showed it to Karen, only just sat here looking at it now, and what they're doing is they're going to close the footpath from footbridge that goes over into Perkins Close, and close it from there all the way down to Brownhill. Yeah. The only thing I can think of that's going to be an issue is all the mums.
I mean, we've got school children and mums.
They'll have to go up through my place.
Yeah, but because the footpath is so tight, because the hedge is very much overgrown now.
We'll make sure that
Yeah.
they got access.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no skin off my beak.
No, because it's not crystal clear from the notice.
No. I haven't
the
seen
issue.
the notice yet.
No.
Tomorrow.
Right, I was going to end the public participation there, but as James wishes to say something, I'll
Yes.
bend the rules.
You've been very generous in bending the rules, Chair. Thank you very much for that, and doing it for my colleague David Pragnell, who's much more knowledgeable on this than I am. I would just add that there are several other locations with similar problem. I've got a letter here, a pretty strong letter, which somebody wanted me to read out from Nixon Close, where their culvert was blocked and he had electrical problems as well. And also in the dip in Murden Avenue, just next to the Murden Junior School playing fields, there's the lifted manhole and the sewerage problem that you've described.
Yeah.
So I hope we can take up David's suggestion, and if we are able to take it up, could we also cover those two areas I've just mentioned? Thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you for that. I don't think there's anything... are there any questions in specific which I could ask our local area manager to respond to?
Sorry, I can't.
Has anyone got any specific questions that we might be able to answer now? If not, then I will carry on with the agenda. Thank
There's
you.
one thing I would add, that's to do with the fact that obviously with Kingsway it comes across Brownhill. When you go up Kingsway, the other section, the road section, what you notice is the amount of leaves that are in the gutters.
Yeah.
They're coming across the actual drains, and as Karen pointed out, then that means that the water comes across the road down the footpath. So that's something that needs to be looked
It's
at.
all the time.
Right. Thank you, and thank you, members, for your cooperation. Do members have any declarations of interest they wish to make? If so, please indicate now.
Yes, Chair, just when we come to the report on the grants, I was involved in that working party, but I just would like it noted that I specifically excluded myself from discussing the application from St Martin's Church on the basis that I'm an active member of St Martin's Church. That's just to clear my yard arm when we can come to that particular one. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. We now come to the minutes, pages 5 to 10 of our report. We now have to move the minutes. Can I approve the minutes as a true record? Do I have a proposer? Thank you, Maud. I prefer first name terms when there's so few of us. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah.
Right. George, thank you for that. Those in favour, please indicate.
Yep.
Thank you, members. Now we come to Chair's report, which I've buried, of course, as I usually do. Some of you probably say that's a good idea. But no, I do welcome everyone to this, our first LAC meeting of 2024. I hope everyone managed to enjoy Christmas and the New Year celebrations. I do wish everyone present a happy, prosperous, peaceful and successful New Year. For some of us, this is likely to be rather a busy and eventful year ahead with local police, crime commissioner and general elections to look forward to. I think some of us are going to be rather active and rather busy. The next big event from the Borough Council will be the budget setting meeting when I fully expect us to be able to announce that for the 21st year in succession, our budget increase will be below the December inflation level due to the strong ongoing financial controls and policies followed by the Council over the years. This, I hope, will help to give confidence to our residents and help them by doing what we can to keep our part of the council tax below inflation. And let us all remember, and we've got illustrations tonight, that even in Chandler, Ford and Hiltingbury, there are people who are struggling and who need our help. Only last week my wife went to help a rather frail elderly lady who had fallen. I know she's, as my wife was sitting there waiting when the ambulance people arrived, the lady is 94 next month, and she was in rather a bad state. We discovered that her central heating boiler was faulty, and she'd been living in a house without any heating, without any water heating. And yet this is someone in Chandler Ford, and I would ask that we all take care of each other, especially in this very cold weather. Now, I've only just been informed of an organisation. I was only informed today, and I haven't had a chance to check it out properly because Catherine, our Democratic Services Officer, has discovered it. And I'm going to, just announce it because I haven't had a chance to check this out thoroughly. A quick look at their website because I was out today. And I hope that people might find this helpful. It's called Paid and Community Heating and Plumbing Services. They can provide free emergency repairs for the over 65s and customers who are registered disabled for things such as gas leaks, no heating, no hot water, etc., where the individuals are vulnerable and unable to afford these repairs in emergency. They may in some cases pay the whole bill or pay parts of it, but that is something which we have to find at the time. Although they are based in the north, they may have local operatives who they can employ to do the work. So the details can be found on, for those of us that like the internet, www.depher, that's DEPHER.com. And their telephone number is 01282 420, I should say, 678. And I will make sure that that is circulated to members, because it does sound to me as if it is something which, although we live in an affluent area, there are an awful lot of people who, even around here, are really struggling at this time. Thank you, members. I now ask the local area manager to give his report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Right, I'll draw your attention to my report in the agenda. Forgive me for trying to shoehorn a few things into one report just for the sake of simplicity, but so if I just take you through the recommendations in turn. We'll start off with the first one, which is the 1,162 allocation for grants, and perhaps if we just take those as recommended in Table 2 before I go on to the rest of the report. Are you happy to do that, Chair? I think it's just if there are any questions or dissent from the or disagreement, if you like, with the recommendations in the report. But so any questions on that?
Are there any questions on the report or any of the items on it? We know that.
And then the other items, if you're happy with those recommendations, then those are all fairly small items, straightforward ones, until we get to 14,700, which is public art developers' contributions, which is for a piece, public art piece at Hiltingbury, Hiltingbury for recognising the Polish Dependents Hostel Public Art Project, a mouthful. So that I'll stop there and see if there's an issue with that one.
Yeah.
James.
Well, just for the interest of people in the audience, first of all, I'd like to salute Stuart's very good work on this. He's a member of our working party, doing a great job, and has communicated the fact that it is now open for people to put forward their proposition, their proposals, have expressions of interest, and the closing date for that is the 20th of February. So I think some of the documentation slightly got, there's been some delay because actually the Polish trusts wanted to become involved, and their management processes turned out to be rather slower and more difficult. So I'd like to say I think it's a great project. It's great that Vicky Fear has negotiated very substantial Arts Council funding, not Eastleigh Borough Council funding, which is relatively modest against the whole project. And I very much hope that it will be nodded through and approved this evening. And again, we have a very good, viable working party. I chaired the original working party, but the process of selecting the shortlist will not include me, but will include some very competent parish councillors and other folk. Thank you, Stuart.
Yes, I'll echo that. It is something which, there are still actually descendants, and there's at least one person on the committee who was actually, as a child, in the Polish camp on Hiltingbury, and still lives in Hiltingbury. There are people around, so it is important that we remember those. Dave, you want to say something?
I want to rescue some people. We have two of our members of the public, I think, who would be liking to leave the meeting because they've got better things to do this evening. By all means. Because you can leave if you wish. Yeah, please do. That's not... Yeah, absolutely fine.
Careful of the...
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the other thing is, I think it's worth making sure we do reiterate that 14,700 is a lot of money to be paid on public arts, but of course that money is ring-fenced by developers' contribution. We either spend it or we have to hand it back. So, spend it.
Or use it or lose it, I think, is the correct terminology, which is... right.
Just as I've already said, the vast bulk of it is actually a Arts Council grant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And lastly, the fees and charges which are in the appendix for cemeteries, which that's the fees and charges which are both for our own Ramaley, one in Chelmsford, and the Eastleigh Cemetery as well. So the same charges set out there. So if there are any issues, I'm happy to take questions.
Is there any debate, members, or any questions? Would someone then like to move that we note the report? Thank you, Maud. Does that find a seconder? James. Those in favour, please indicate.
Yep.
Thank you, members. And we know we come to planning appeals. Can I ask that we note the appeals?
Mm-hmm.
Are we all in agreement?
Yeah.
Thank you. That concludes the meeting. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you for listening. Next meeting will be on Wednesday the 28th of February, 7 p.m. at the Valmore Community Centre. Thank you and good evening to everyone.